Thank you. Thank you all for joining us for the October 22nd, 2019 meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. If you would, please rise. We're going to begin as we typically do, and that's with a prayer and a pledge. So please, after we finish the prayer, remain standing for the pledge. Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this beautiful day as only you can provide, and thank you for the wonderful gifts you provided us, including the opportunities to live in this wonderful city, this wonderful state, and wonderful country. Please help us use those opportunities, use the wisdom you've given us to do your work tonight and to do it every day and as we go from here. And thank you for the folks that are protecting us here and the folks that protect us far away. And please give some special attention to the folks that really need some special attention at this time. And that's Laura Sprouse, that's Virginia Waters, that's Pat Campbell's family, and that's Joe Skidmore, and possibly some other people that we hold in our hearts right now. Help us to continue to do your work, and help us to always remember your Son, Jesus Christ. And in his name we pray. Amen. Amen. Please join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I need to entertain a motion to accept the agenda. We have a motion and a second. Alderman Woodcock.
Mayor, I would like to add ordinance 2019-49. This went before Public Works and Finance Committee. Finance Committee ran out of time to have an official vote, but Public Works did vote in favor.
Okay, and that's actually on the printed agenda pursuant to the approval of the board. Let's go ahead and take a vote. We have a motion. Need a second. Any discussion on that item? All those in favor of adding item E, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Alderman Woodcock, anything else? Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. I'd like to add the final update for Hendersonville Hometown Jam 2019, and then also would like to mention, I appreciate, we have here on item F on the agenda having to deal with job classification list and pay table. I'm going to ask that we don't have to take a vote for this, but just to explain the reason why we're not asking for it to be on the agenda. We discussed it in General Committee last night. It is not time sensitive. We can have it on our regular agenda 2 weeks from now. Mr. Washko is good with that, and that calendar is going to work. But I do want to ask to add the update for the jam.
And do you want to do that under committee reports?
I'll do it wherever you recommend, sir.
How do we make item H?
I'll do it after general committee report. How about that?
That works. We'll make it B1, and that is jam report. Okay. Why don't I do this? Since I'm the sponsor of item F, I'll just withdraw it with the understanding that it will come back to us at our next meeting. So your motion is now down to adding jam report as B1. Do I have a second? Second. You have a second? Any discussion on that? All those in favor of adding item B1, which is a hometown jam report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. All those in favor of accepting the agenda as amended with those two items, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Next, David Moomey, if you'd join me. David, there was a time when we did not have Veterans Day parades in Hendersonville. How long ago was that?
7 years.
And we have been doing it every year since then, and it is an awesome, awesome experience. And this year is going to be better than ever, and I don't say that just because it's a new year. I say that because I know this year is going to be better than ever because I've seen some of the plans with it, and it's pretty cool. But let me take care of this real quick, and then can you speak for a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas on Veterans Day, America pauses to honor every service member who has ever worn one of our nation's uniforms and has come to our country's defense every time the country has come under attack, and each time our freedoms have come under assault. And whereas through the generations, their courage and sacrifice have allowed our republic to flourish while our obligations endure long after the battle's end and the veterans return home, and we make it our mission to give them the respect and care they have earned. And whereas when American veterans return home, they continue to serve our country in many ways, bringing tremendous skills to their communities and to the workforce. And whereas we resolve that in the United States of America, no war should be forgotten and no veteran should be overlooked. And let us always remember our wounded, our missing, our fallen, and their families. And let us welcome our returning heroes with the support and opportunities they deserve. And whereas under the most demanding of circumstances and in the most dangerous corners of the earth, America's veterans have served with distinction, courage, self-sacrifice, and devotion to our nation and to one another. They represent the American character at its best, and on Veterans Day and every day, we celebrate their immeasurable contributions, draw inspiration from their example, and renew our commitment to showing them the fullest support of a grateful nation. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim Sunday, November 10th, as Veterans Day Parade Day 2019, and acknowledge its a profound debt of gratitude that we owe to these patriots who have kept our country whole. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, good evening. I'm Dave Mooney. I'm the Senior Vice Commander at VFW Post 9851 here in Hendersonville. And the VFW Post is, along with the American chapter of the Vietnam Veterans of America 240, are the sponsors of the Hendersonville Veteran Day Parade. The parade is, as was mentioned, is Sunday, November the 10th. Starts at 2 p.m. We'll be lining up in Hendersonville High School parking lot this year, proceed down Cherokee Drive to Main Street, follow down Main Street as we usually do, and disband in the Imperial Square parking lot. Right now I have about 70 different entries. Some of those entries are multiple cars or units, so there should be a very good parade to honor the veterans here that live in Hendersonville and Sumner County. There are over 11,000 veterans here in Sumner County. The VFW Post is a very active post along with this parade. Right now we're running essay contest for the junior high school students called Patriots Pen. We're also doing a Voice of Democracy contest for seniors or high school students and the Teacher of the Year contest. We're getting ready to do a bunch of other things. We do a food pantry every Saturday morning for the needy veterans here in Sumner County. So parade is just one way that you folks can help and honor all the veterans here that live in Sumner County. So we thank you for the opportunity to put on this parade and show you the veterans and the community support that the veterans have here in Hendersonville, in this wonderful city by the lake. Thank you, Jamie.
Appreciate it. If there's any hard names, I need your help.
One or two.
I'm going to read this first, and then I'm going to ask these team members to come on up in front. This is T.W. Hunter Middle School football team, and this is in honor of the 2019 Sumner County Middle School football champions. Congratulations, guys. That's wonderful. So let me read this first. Congratulations to the T.W. Hunter Middle School football team for the 2019 Sumner County Middle School football championship win. As the West Division champions, they had the opportunity to play against East Division champions, the undefeated Rucker-Stewart Rams, which is from another city. So it's really important that y'all won. And on October 5th, the Buccaneers went up against the Rams in Greenway Stadium in Gallatin and won 22-16. Congratulations very much. And the first item here is for head coach Constance Luttrell. So should we have them all line up first? What do you think?
We can.
Let's do that. Okay. So if you're here and you're part of the team, what I need you to do is line up right here, and right up in front of the alderman, and then I call your name. I'm going to ask your coach to help me out, and I'm going to hand you a proclamation. So go ahead and line up. There you go.
Why don't we do this in numerical order? One starting here.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
And go right back to where you are right now, okay? And we're gonna have a big picture, okay? And then, so it's not so awkward when we leave.
You weren't supposed to say that on camera. Congratulations. Appreciate y'all very much. Ryan Mash. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks. Kevin Long.
He's not here.
Okay, I'm going to hand that one to you then. Okay, David Shealy.
He's not here.
Okay. Karis Hudson, excuse me.
It's our manager.
Okay. Ellie Logsden. And Rebecca Luttrell. Okay. Cody Wilson. Luke Lehue. Luke, congratulations. Thanks. Rocco Holt. Jordan Lee. Congratulations, Rocco. Okay. Why are you only clapping for one or two of them? Isaac South. Kawan Harris. Kawan Harris. Isaac, congratulations. Thanks. Okay. Well, congratulations. Brian Rager, Cade Philpott. Congratulations, Brian. Okay, Cade, congratulations. Dylan Parrott, Nathan Taylor. Dylan, congratulations. And where's Nathan? Okay, he gets the unexcused absence, right? Okay. Jackson McDonald, Camarion Ward. Jackson, congratulations. There you go. Camarion, thanks. I'm going to call you again and make sure to get it right. Aaron Higgins, Engage Moore. Congratulations, Aaron. Thanks. Engage, congratulations. Graham Kreisel and Thomas Hood. Graham, congratulations. And Thomas, congratulations. Peyton McFarland and Braden Cole. Peyton, congratulations. Braden, congratulations.
No, we beat an undefeated team, and they were previously unscored upon until the.
You want to talk? Yeah, okay, we'll do, okay. Preston Turner, Brandon Lowe. Congratulations, Preston. Congratulations. Brandon. I wasn't into this, so I was wondering. So, Grant Harper, Malcolm Walden. Grant, congratulations. Malcolm. Oh, okay. We don't want that to happen. It doesn't count if you get the wrong one. Braxton Socha and
Soha.
Braxton Soha. Oh, there he is. There you go. Congratulations. Chandler Westmoreland, Donovan DeCourcy. DeCourcy? I mean, that's pretty close. Thanks, Chandler.
Donovan's not here.
Ben Chappelle and Brian Dodson. Brian, congratulations. There you go. Brian, congratulations. Nathaniel Walker, Bryce Dady.
Nathaniel is not here.
Okay. I'm amazed you got this many here, to be honest with you. Thanks, Bryce. John Hunter, Trey Fleischman. John, congratulations. And no Trey?
John.
John, I gave you the wrong one.
John's not here. That's Trey.
Okay. Rafe Ripito and Talon Davis.
Rafe is not here. Talon is here. Yes, Talon.
Talon Davis. Thank you. Thanks, Talon. Congratulations. Camden Rigsby, Jack Starks.
Starks is not.
Okay. Congratulations, Camden. Thanks. Marcos Hopkins and Chris Boyd.
Chris Boyd's not here.
Okay.
Marcos is not either.
Okay. As easy. Declan Deering and Nate King.
Cool. Stop.
Congratulations, Declan. Nate, congratulations. Jackson Earls and Carter McGivney. Congratulations, Jackson. Carter, congratulations. Parker Jolly and Braden Elliott. Parker, congratulations. Braden, congratulations. Alex Warnke And
Nautica.
Nautica Carter, that wasn't that hard. Congratulations, Alex.
Nautica's one of our captains.
Nautica, congratulations. Awesome. Draven Ventries and Jake Moore. Ventries. Yeah. That was an easy
He's
one.
not even here.
Okay, Draven, okay. Jake, congratulations. Mason St. Jean and Austin Gatlin. Mason, congratulations. Austin, congratulations. Okay. Jensen Thomas is not here. Casey Martinez, Hudson Gear. Casey, congratulations. And Hudson, congratulations. Tough Long and Alex Freeman. Okay. Alex, congratulations. Solomon Hallman and Jared Wooten. Okay. Do you really want to talk for a second? That'd be wonderful if you did. Okay. Jared, congratulations. Okay. And Lawson Highsmith. Congratulations. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Just like to say thank you for inviting us to be here tonight. Little backstory. He asked us if we were undefeated. No, we were not undefeated. We did end up playing an undefeated team in the other city down the road. And they were also previously unscored upon. So these guys really stood up, and it was probably the best game that I've ever watched, coached, and I've been coaching for 15 years, 8 as the head coach, and these guys really, I mean, it was a total team effort. There was not one that stood out above the other. We couldn't have done it without each and every person on this team, each and every parent, because this is a family. This is a Buccaneer family. Okay, it's not just coaches and all the kids. It's everybody else involved. We would not be able to do this, what we do, without the support of the parents. And so, parents, we greatly appreciate you and allowing us to coach your kids day in and day out. And so it's going to be a long winter, but we're going to start again first week of March. Okay, so get ready. 8th graders, y'all going to be going to Beach High School. They also have a great tradition going. They're undefeated right now, and hopefully we'll be watching them December 6th on play in Cookville at the state tournament. So good luck to you all, and congratulations, and thank you all parents for being here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Okay, guys, somehow y'all got to scoot together a little bit more, because even from back there, we can't get y'all in.
Thanks, Jamie.
You're welcome. I don't know if it's going to work. What do you need? You got that list? You got the folder? Yeah. It's fine. We can have it. Absolutely. Thank you for getting everybody here. Yeah, I think she told him to do that.
I was able to do a setting on my phone. I mean, I don't know if that's like, I would definitely will.
Can I give you my folder?
Gary Woodward,
And that way I will.
Bobby
And
Van.
maybe even this one too. And I'll check right back with you after I get this picture.
Okay.
And that's standardized for him.
Well, Eddie didn't ask to add his ordinance to the agenda. You need to point that out to the ladies.
I think I need to get out of the way.
Woodcock added his, Sprouse took his off and added on. You might need to point that out to him. Or you might want to tell Eddie. Oh, we got a break here. I don't think I can place to tell him.
You know your phone.
Just lean them back on us.
Yeah, just lead us point to him and say, you know, y'all didn't vote to add this. And of course, see, now it's going to take a vote of 9 to add it instead of 7. Just don't let that came from me.
Everybody smile.
time you look at the agenda, that was not added. It shouldn't be added anyway, there's nothing time sensitive about it, might as well be at the next meeting, it's just Eddie won't. That's the one that I told Eddie wasn't like. Way to go, Bucks!
This one was added, do we need to?
Yeah, we do.
The others were added,
Yeah, well, I disagree. I've said this before. I think once we pass the agenda, you don't have to do that. So I was going to disagree on that.
I just was looking at it, I thought, well, we better add it.
I appreciate that.
We can rumble those rounds.
Vote on second agenda, the board is That's awesome.
Congratulations.
I'm amazed you got this many here. Usually we have teams like this, like half of them able to get here, so it's awesome. Well, I'm also, hold on one second. I'm also amazed. No public hearing minutes.
I'll say no.
I'm fine with that.
I think you just can't get it right.
He sent us all an email too. Said he wasn't going to be here. Jeff, we'll need a minute.
It may get cool now, it was hot.
Took this off. They asked that we put out.
Yeah.
When they do it. The calendar, right? I guess you can just announce it when we get to it.
Yeah, I forgot that. Okay.
Make sure
I'll just say it right now.
Yeah.
I'll just say it right now. Jeff, you ready? Okay. One thing I should have mentioned, y'all, is that when we get to item B under other agenda items, I'm going to ask to have that withdrawn, so if anybody's here for that, we got a phone call and an email from the person who had asked for us to reconsider that, and he asked that we delay that by a couple weeks. So that's item B at the very end. I'll ask for it to be withdrawn when we get to that point. Next on the agenda is approval of the September 24th, 2019 meeting minutes. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. And now we have citizens' comments. Guidelines for public comments are the speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Typically, I'll do that for you. Public comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per individual, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to aldermen, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. First, we have Gary Woodward, Ashington Circle. Go now. You got 3 people.
I'm Gary Woodward. I'm in Durham Farms at 125 Ashington Circle, and I'm here as a citizen and a taxpayer, and the privilege of being able to say simply, thank you. I drive Indian Lake Boulevard, literally one part or all of it every single day, no matter where I go in this town. Thank you to you, Mayor, to you, all of you as aldermen, to everybody in city staff, public works, all the committees involved, to get that street repaved. It's beautiful. I love it. And I wanted to take time. I think it's important because rarely do you have somebody come up here and simply say, thank you. Everybody's up here with an agenda either for or something. I've been here many times. In this case, you deserve a thank you and a round of applause, if I could get it, just for getting a job well done for something that's probably the most traveled street in the city. Thank you very much.
Gary, thank you. Jason DiStefano, Center Point Road.
Good evening. My name is Jason DiStefano. I'm a business owner at 173 Center Point Road South in Hendersonville. I'd like to thank the mayor and aldermen for the time to speak this evening. I'll be brief. For nearly 10 years, Green Village Recycling has been serving Hendersonville residents and businesses with single-stream recycling, including a public drop-off location for 4 years, participating in many shoreline cleanups and community events. We're a local business committed to sustainability in Hendersonville and Sumner County. Tonight, there will be important discussions regarding recycling, as is posted on the agenda. Some of you may be questioning whether the time is right for a decision about recycling. You may feel you may not have enough information or understanding about the residents' desires for recycling. However, you only have to look at the fact that you have had a recycling pilot program with positive results for over a year, a waste and recycling committee that has recommendations for recycling. You've had industry experts that provided information about the near-capacity landfills in Middle Tennessee, a resident base that had their waste collections reduced from 2 times weekly to 1 time weekly. And many residents have told us directly that they were under the impression that the city leaders were moving forward with a recycling program. As city leaders, you have been chastised, in a letter published recently in the Hendersonville Standard for considering a citywide recycling program by a Franklin-based recycling company that did not put a bid in for the recycling RFP in Hendersonville. With all due respect, you were all elected to your positions by the citizens of Hendersonville to make important decisions for this great city. Just like you made the decision to select one company out of many to provide waste and garbage service. Residents currently have the option to choose to recycle, and the total amount of residents collectively that pay extra to recycle with the companies providing service in this city is less than 10%. That means 90% of the residents are not recycling, even with the ability to recycle. By offering a citywide recycling service through the RFP process, you have negotiated a best price and lowest rate possible with full accountability from a recycling hauler provider. If you do nothing and allow the issue of garbage and landfill to continue to grow, then the problem gets bigger and is passed along to the next group of elected officials. No doubt, the decisions you make today will affect the residents of the city for years to come. Our time on this earth is short, but the legacy of garbage we leave behind will last for generations to come. Please make the right decision to add recycling service for all Hendersonville city residents. Thank you.
Jason, thank you. Bobby Bandy of 1116 Ordway Place.
Hey there, I'm Bobby Bandy. As you just heard, I'm with Earth Savers Recycling. We are Green Village's competitor in Hendersonville. I'm coming to you to plead on behalf of my company and my employees to consider not adopting the opt-in option that I believe is on the table and allow your citizens the right to choose for themselves what they want to do. We've been recycling in the Middle Tennessee area for 17 years, providing subscription-based service. I have sacrificed personally for this business. And I would like you to consider the fact that recycling a lot of times people talk about it's your responsibility to take care of the waste, and it is. Waste is a public concern for disease and things like that. Recycling is something different. It's a commodity that is an opportunity for businesses to take advantage of and run a business on that. I submitted a letter to you last week talking more about this, and I'd like for you to consider the fact that what you are doing in this contract, the opt-in option, is you are providing a service to Green Village that Green Village doesn't have to pay for, that I don't get the benefit of as a business, as a competitor of theirs in your market. You are providing them free advertising for their services, and you're actually, in the contract that you would adopt, providing their customer service. The customers will call you, and you will then relay that to them. So you are their call center. I don't have that from you, and so you are giving them an unfair advantage in this community, and my business will suffer for that. The other thing I'd like you to consider is, in our country, we value free market, the ability for the consumer to drive what they want. When you take this option away from your citizens will have only one option, and after your 5-year contract is up, Green Village doesn't have to extend, and they wouldn't want to, because your contract will limit what they would charge. But after 5 years, there's no competitors here, and they will have the opportunity to charge what they want. I'm not saying they're going to charge unreasonable amounts, but what I'm saying is, what a dream. I would love that opportunity for my business to not have competition. The second thing in that is, when you allow consumers to make the choice, they choose where they want to spend their money. When you do it out of the tax system, the only choice they get is to vote you in or to vote you out. But you are the one that spends their tax money on that thing. There is a difference between Green Village and our Savers. There's a difference between other competitors out there. One example is we provide glass collection. Our objective is to help our customers recycle as much as they can, as convenient as they can, not just the commodities that the contract and the fee, to make the fee as small as possible, would be. And so my request of you is to not provide free advertising for Green Village, for you not to provide free customer call center service for them, and to not adopt that contract, and allow your citizens to choose. That being said, I don't think, that doesn't mean that you don't have a role. I think one of the roles that a city government has is to educate your citizens of what the importance is. Recycling is a very important thing. It's my business is based on that. The difference is allowing your citizens to choose what they want to pay for. And they've had options, and Jason's right, the percentage is low, but maybe by your encouraging them to reach out to the services that are available, Green Village, us, others, and allow them to choose what recycling service is right for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next, we have Finance Committee report. Chairman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, we didn't get to all of our agenda in finance because we had a presentation by the forensic accountant, Tim Reese, in reference to the previous trash company that we had for a 10-year period of time. And the documentation on home counts was presented, different emails were presented, along with other interviews that were conducted by Mr. Reese. So we suggested that, we took a vote and suggested that this be referred to our city attorney and MTS for their recommendations about what the next step would be for that. We started to get into the one ordinance that's on our agenda tonight. It did get discussed in detail at the Public Works meeting, but there was no resolution there was no vote up or down because we ran out of time on ordinance 2019-49, ordinance appropriating funds to extend the pilot recycling program for a period of 6 months. And unfortunately, that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Chairman Cunningham, thank you. Chairman Sprouse, General Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. General Committee report, we had a special called meeting last night. We had 3 items on our agenda. The first one is something that we'll be voting on, not next meeting, it'll be coming up. We want to have something that's going to be enacted before the end of the year, and that's the update to our zoning ordinance. Mr. Free is going to be making that available to you. We had an overview of it last night. Committee is going to go back. We're going to read through it, review it ourselves. If y'all have any interest in doing a committee-type workshop, we will make that available. Committee can make that available for y'all. One of the important things about this zoning ordinance, Mark's been there many times. A lot of the board a lot of y'all have joined the board since the last time we did one of these. This is where we start setting the rules and updating the rules that have to do with planning and zoning. And we all have come across cases where we said, oh, I wish that we didn't have to do it this way, or our hands are tied because of this. This is where these rules come from. And staff has done a great job. All the revisions were done in-house. They know it inside and out. Still, there may be 1 or 2 things this board would like to change. And so I encourage you to reach out with Mr. Free when that document's given to you. Review that as much as you can. And then if you would like to have a workshop, let me know. In general, we'll do that, and we can have a deeper discussion about that document. The second thing that we discussed is item F on the agenda, having to do with reclassification of some positions in the codes department. The committee recommended that. That'll be coming before us at our next board meeting. And then the third item was related to that. We discussed some issues having to deal with personnel issues in the codes department. And we're going to have to continue that discussion. But one of the things that we came across was a little bit troublesome was dealing with some issues of time off with our codes director and how it's documented, if it's documented, what's in the system, what's not in the system. We saw some cases where there were lots of days off requested from months ago that were still listed as pending and not approved by his supervisor, which would be the mayor, and that just ends up meaning that they just never get counted against his paid time off. There's some discussion about negotiated additional time off. We asked the codes director if he could give us some information about that, some documentation, so we would know, and even personnel would know what these extra days off were negotiated as a condition of hire, and he referred us to the mayor. So Mayor, if you could help us with that documentation in the next week, that would help us out with continuing out those discussions. Also, as part of the discussions, we saw some differences in the way employees are carrying over vacation at the end of the year. A considerable discrepancy, this is my opinion, considerable discrepancy between how vacation is carried over and then ultimately paid out in cash to an outgoing finance director, but then not allowed for our current fire chief. And so we're going to continue having a discussion on that at another meeting about ways that we can help standardize that policy and make it a little bit more equitable. I would encourage anyone who has the opportunity to affect the situation to reconsider decisions that were made regarding the fire chief's vacation pay and him being able to turn it over. I think that's something that can be fixed up pretty simply. And with that, I'm going to move into my report for Hendersonville Hometown Jam. Wasn't that awesome? We just have a big time. This is something, and first off, Mr. Gilley's not here, and if he is, I'd ask everybody to go shake his hand, pat him on the back, and hug his neck, because that man worked his tail off. Also asked the same of Rachel Collins and Donna Sturban, who served with us on the committee. Their help with volunteers, organizing artists, helping with festival was incredible. I will tell you, the best review I got from all the artists, from all of y'all, from all the people from Hendersonville who were there, the one that will always stick with me was the person who posted to Facebook, "It was so cool, I forgot I was in Hendersonville." But I want to tell you three numbers. First one is 50. We celebrated our city's 50th anniversary, and we did it in a way that really only Hendersonville could. The talent on the stage was from Hendersonville. The professionals who put together the stage handle a lot of the back stuff you didn't see. They came from Hendersonville. Of course, Hendersonville, the community that came out to celebrate, is the one that I just love, the one I know, and the one I'm so proud to serve. But that's the best way we could celebrate 50 years. The second number I want to give you is 5143, if I remember it correctly. 5,143. That's how many people we had show up at a free concert with world-class talent. The other number is not yet completely calculated, but I can tell you it is 15,000 and counting. That is how much we raised and were able to contribute to 3 very well-deserving charities through this event. So not only did we celebrate and have a good time, everyone had fun, nobody got hurt, nobody got in trouble, everybody got home safely, and everybody wants to come back if we ever do it again. We had over 5,000 people here, everyone was free, and we still were able to raise over $15,000. And all I can say to the community is thank you for joining in the celebration, thank you for the spirit, thank you for the aldermen who helped us, voted for this in May. Think about this, I'm sorry, in June. You voted on this in June. That's when the ball started rolling for an event that we had in October. So don't be surprised if Mr. Gilly comes and says, you know, ask you to think what he could do if you tell him to start the ball rolling in February. So thank you very much again. Appreciate your support, appreciate the fun times, and should they continue. Thank you.
Chairman Sprouse, thank you. Chairman Brown, Public Safety Committee.
The only thing I would say there on public safety is to add to the JAM report that our PD and our FPD was there, did a fantastic job. There was presence all over the place. There was presence we didn't realize that was there, taking care of business. And is there any question that we're going to do it again, Mr. Sprouse?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. Chairman Campbell, Public Works Committee.
That'd be Alderman Skidmore.
I do you that way all the time, so that's not a problem. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor and Alderman Campbell. We had our meeting tonight. It was a short agenda, but a lot of conversation, as we always do. First of all, I want to thank everybody for the prayers and the comments about Mom. She's doing a little better, and we'll just hope we'll keep the prayers coming in, and there's always power in prayer. And so I told one of my constituents tonight and the members of the Public Works Committee, when the door closes, the Lord always opens another one for you to step through. And so I just want to let you all know that we appreciate everything that you've been doing for our family, and please keep us again in our prayers. And I appreciate everything that you all have said and have done for her. And she's doing a lot better. I just wanted to extend, and she wanted me to tell you all thank you from the bottom of her heart that she's doing well. And on that note, I do want to extend on behalf of the Public Works Committee and the Public Works Department to Alderman Campbell with his family with the passing of his aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And we extend our condolences to you, and also want your father get better.
Yeah, thank you.
And let him know we're thinking about him as well. And I wanted to let you know that. So thank you for letting me get that out this evening. And I do want to let you know we did have some work that we did in Public Works this evening. Although it was very limited, there's a couple of ordinances on the agenda tonight. Instead of talking about them, we'll wait till we get to them and have the sponsors discuss them, because it is discussing with recycling. It's under ordinance 2019-49, and that was Alderman Woodcock, and the other one is resolution 2019-56, which is one of our colleagues in Public Works Committee, Alderman Robertson. We discussed the paving of Laverne Circle, and if you don't know where that is, that's one of our industrial sites. We have 2 industrial sites in the city of Hendersonville, believe it or not. And that is the oldest industrial site that we actually have in the city. And that's out towards Saundersville Road. So we've been in discussion about paving that area because it's in really bad shape. It's one of the oldest, but There's a lot of businesses out there, a lot of employees that, and a lot of tax money, and so we're discussing that. We'll be coming back to the board just to let everyone know next year probably is when it's going to be done, or yes or no, but more than likely it's going to be done just because of the businesses that are out there. There's a lot of business out there. A lot of people don't realize that. I didn't realize it until I drove it and saw how in bad shape that was there. So we're going to do that. Other than that, the only other thing I have tonight for the board and for the constituency out there in Hendersonville is we have a solid waste and recycling committee report to give tonight, and Alana Hibbler, who is in charge of that within the city of Hendersonville, and I'm going to just defer my time, Mayor, to Alana and her colleague that's in the recycling, the waste and recycling committee report, and let you all take over the mic and show us your stuff. And thank you for, and I do want to say this, on behalf of the city, we do appreciate you all and the work that you do for us because it's so important. And I know sometimes we get into the heat of battle up here and we don't acknowledge the people that work because we're too much into the fight or to the, into the hoopla of what's going on. But we do appreciate you, and we do, all of us, whether we vote for things or not, the same way we realize how important recycling and garbage is in our city of Hendersonville. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Debbie and Alana, if y'all will introduce yourselves, but please go ahead. Thank you.
I'm Debbie Floyd. I am chair of the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee, and I'd like to introduce the ones that are here that are on the committee with me. Mary Burns, and I believe she is from Ward 1. Mike Grove right here is in Ward 2. I'm Debbie Floyd from Ward 6. I don't know that anyone else is here. I know Mr. Lott was here earlier, and he is at large. As he says, I'm mayor. So
There you go.
he was appointed by the mayor. We had a meeting on October 17th, and we met for over our time limit, our allotted hour, discussed many things, and amazingly came up with unanimous decisions. We work really well together. We let everybody express their opinions, and then somehow we come together. I tell this story, and this will be brief. When we first started this, working with the trash and trying to figure out what we as a committee would recommend for our solid waste pickup, I was determined, and the only person on this committee, to have backdoor service. I have lived in Hendersonville for 45 years and have never known anything but backdoor trash pickup twice a week. And everybody else was saying, no, we need curbside. Well, eventually, they persuaded me to come over to the good side and have curbside once a week with recycling. Well, we didn't get that exactly as we planned, but this is just to show that we can compromise. And I hope everybody here can compromise for the benefit of Hendersonville, keeping it clean and healthy, and possibly doing a little bit for the earth. Alana's going to go through some of the details with us about what we actually talked about last Thursday and exactly our recommendations from this committee. But make sure all of you know these were unanimous decisions.
Hello. Got a hello. So the other committee members who aren't here, so on the screen you can see that there are one appointed person from each ward. Aldermen were asked to appoint someone. People were chosen. Committee was created. So one person per ward and one person at large. I am Alana Hibbler, the Public Works Liaison. Alderman Jim Waters is the Boma Liaison. So we'll start this presentation. Okay. So from our meeting, the last thing we talked about was Boma has renewed the Solid Waste and Recycling Committee. So we've been approved to serve from October of this year, 2019, to May 2020. All members have decided to continue to this date and not to resign. The committee will submit findings in a report form to Boma on April 1st, 2020. This will address both solid waste and recycling matters. Implementation of initiatives that would also help the city would be included in that. So the committee recommendations, this is from the last meeting last Thursday. So we have 9 recommendations. This is the first one. The first one is to discontinue the city's pilot project as of December 31st of this year. Excuse me one second. So the pilot project in full has served its purpose. The question was, does this demonstrate that recycling will be successful in our city? So data shows that 70% of the participants recycled on a regular basis. So to give the participants, there we go, okay, a 2-month transition period and that would also include citywide information and education about recycling options in our city. So instead of continuing the pilot further past December 1st, kind of wrap it up with all the data information so everyone could have all that information at the end. So this is the overview of the city's curbside recycling pilot project. This has been a 2-year study. So it initially started as a 6 months to a year study. It is now, as of this month, a 2-year study. 6 neighborhoods across the city were involved, totaling approximately 800 households across the city. Single stream means everything goes into one bin that was provided by the city, and it's curbside. Each alderman was asked to submit neighborhoods for consideration for this pilot project. In 2017, 1 neighborhood from each ward was selected across the city. So that's an example of all the different materials that were allowed in there, and that was publicized to the participants. So this is the ward number on the left and the neighborhood on the right. Ward 1, Winchester Bay. Ward 2, Imperial Point. Ward 3, Cranwell Drive. Ward 4, Ballantrae. Ward 5, Millstone. Ward 6, Lawson Point. So this is a timeline of the 2-year pilot recycling project.
Tell me when he comes back, because he sneaks.
And I found out this cool thing I could do. So in November 2017, we started the pilot project. It was the first day that Republic collected. April 25th was the initial 6-month period that Republic serviced the city for the pilot project. The first extension was later on that year to finish to December. Then there was another extension for January. During that time period that Republic Services had the contract for the pilot project, the recycling materials were taken to a Rest Rock facility. So initially they were taken to one facility, and then they ended up taken to another facility. In 2019, a rebid of the pilot project took place. Republic Services' last collection day was June 19th of this year. July 2019, Green Village was awarded the pilot project extension period. Green Village first collection date was July 10th, 2019. The Citizen Solid Waste Committee made a recommendation last Thursday. We'll talk about that a little later. And then the rest of the year is the wrap-up. So that's the 2-year expansion of this. Sorry, let me go back up one spot. So just to wrap up the pilot project, since its establishment, the city has spent in excess of $350,000 for this project. This was funded by all taxpayers and not just the pilot project participants. Right. One recommendation number 2. And I'll also send you this PowerPoint slide if you would like. Number 2 is a citywide recycling to be funded in the fiscal year 2020 budget. So this recommendation was the initial recommendation presented by the committee earlier this year when the committee started meeting in February, March. And this is the largest citywide option that would create the largest volume to divert waste. Recommendation 3 is against citywide opt-in recycling service. as was stated before and a few times, recycling curbside by vendors has been available 10-plus years for City of Hendersonville residents. This recommendation against citywide hinders the citywide recycling service option for the 2020 budget because it's a 5-year contract. If we commence a 5-year contract as of now, we would not be able to enter one for a citywide curbside recycling. And this goes against the committee's citywide recycling service recommendation. Number 4, Public Works, a request for Public Works to gather information about a drop-off recycling convenience center in the city. So the committee is recommending to Public Works to look into this, look into partnerships, grants, equipment, as in roll-off bins, collection containers, and not just the local things, but look out and see what we have. What is needed? What do people recycle? People recycle not just the basic commodities that are in our single stream, but they also recycle electronic waste. They also recycle clothing, not in a recycling manner, but a pass-along type manner. But address these concerns. If people have things that they want to recycle other than the commodities, how can we help in that? And that will be in the report in April. Recommendation number 5, recommend the purchase of a leaf vac truck for the road department. This is a less expensive and more efficient way to collect yard waste. So this is an example of a leaf vac truck. The operator sits in the cab, it's controlled by a joystick or levers inside, and leaves are collected through the tube, mulched in the back, and then they're able to, at the facility, just dump it out like a dump truck. So here's another picture of it collecting with the arm and the vac truck. Recommendation 6, the city will no longer accept yard waste in plastic bags as of November 1st, 2019. Yard waste must be placed curbside in paper bags. Residents can still continue to bring their yard waste to the facility on 501 Forest Retreat Road. Recommendation 7, recommend the Public Works Department to seek legality of adjusting trash collection from back door to curbside. This will address the confusion of placing the larger bins curbside. Some people had the understanding that all trash was picked up from the back door. That's what kind of service they were expecting. And that's not the case due to the workplace safety and policies from the vendors. So Waste Pro was one of the statistics that they spoke to us about. We asked how many curbside residents versus back door. They said there are more curbside residents than back door residents that are being serviced for trash. Understandably, it might have a contract penalty, but it would be worth it compared to the loss over the 5 years of that contract. So, revisiting the trash contract, this would lead to an additional savings of $630,000 plus annually. This is an average of $3.1 million for the life of the contract. That's the 5-year contract. Additional backdoor service would be a la carte type because it would go over, most likely, the 3% maximum that's usually in contracts. A list would be provided to the vendor and collected appropriately. Recommendation 8, for Public Works to meet with Waste Pro about including yard waste collection. The yard waste will not go to the landfill. I repeat it, the yard waste will not go to the landfill. Collected materials will be delivered to the city's yard waste facility, 501 Forest Retreat Road, for processing into compost. So right now, instead of our employees going out picking up we would talk to the recommendation, is for Waste Pro and Public Works to have a conversation to see if that's a doable, viable option. To collect the yard waste in paper bags at the curb or into lift bins, but no plastic bags. Or lift bins as in lifting a bin into it like trash. So Public Works Committee, there was no report. The Public Works Committee had not met, and nothing was submitted for review by the Public Works Committee. The Boma report, that was Alderman Jim Waters. No feedback or question were submitted, although Alderman Eddie Robertson submitted 2 documents for review, and this was his letter to the editor, Recycling in Hendersonville, an alternative for moving forward, and also a recycling resolution, Resolution 2019-56. Recommendation number 9 is the recycling resolution addressing Resolution 2019-56. The committee wants to show their appreciation to Alderman Eddie Robertson for his efforts in working to find the solution. We appreciate your time and your input. Alderman Robertson did speak with the committee through email requesting to meet and discuss with this. That was the plan. On the day last week, he was unable to attend the meeting, but we do invite him to come and further discuss this. He did give us some discussion, a few topics in his email, but we're open for him to come and speak with us again. So the opt-in recycling option has been available in the city, as we said, for the past 10 years. We will, excuse me. This will not allow for the recommendation of the citywide recycling service to be considered for the 2020 fiscal year budget, and it's not in favor with the committee's vote against opt-in recycling as a citywide option. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for Lana? Chairman Skidmore, back to you.
That is it. I just want to thank you all for the hard work that you all continue to do for us at the board. It makes the decisions that we have to make as a board, it makes us a little easier. I know this is a hard thing that we've been talking about in the city of Hendersonville for quite some time, but it's time now to really do something. And I just want to thank both the committee and a lot of y'all's hard work, and Alderman Waters as well, for the whole committee. And thank you, and we look forward to, I'm glad everybody stayed on board. That was the main thing I wanted to do, that I'm glad everybody decided to stay on. It makes the work a little easier for you.
Yes,
thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that. Alana and Debbie, thank you all. Did you look like you want to say something else, Debbie?
Oh, if there were any questions, I was going to help her out.
Okay. Go, if you want to hop up there. Chairman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank the committee. I know you guys take this very seriously, as I do too. And you worked a lot of hours, and you took it very serious, your duty and your responsibility to us as a city. I want to assure you that I will take your recommendations very seriously. I think they're good recommendations, and I agree with practically everything. The pink elephant in the room is, how do we fund this? That is the only thing that's languishing, that'll be languishing out there. So we're going to have to figure out as a board, if we do decide to go all-out recycling, which I think is the best solution for us to do, instead of doing these dribs and drabs, where do we find the money to do it with? So that'll be incumbent upon all of us on the board to figure that out if we decide to go that direction. But I want to assure you that your recommendations has been taken very seriously, and I want to thank you again.
I think one reason why we came up with some of these recommendations is because we wanted to make sure that you all had plenty of time for the budget in 2020 to know that this is exactly what we are recommending, is city-wide recycling. There have been portions of the city, the pilot program, over $350,000 has been spent. It's time to end that. I agree. And it has served its purpose. But I think all citizens deserve recycling now. And hoping that between now and June 30th, you can come up with the money.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Chairman Campbell, Capital Projects.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have two items for you. Fire hall number 2, at our owner architect meeting recently, we had a discussion regarding the sprinkler system being utilized in that facility. The question was a wet system or a dry system. Came to light that we really need to go with the dry system due to the layout of the ceiling. It's not heated completely, so we don't have any busted pipes like we had at our police department, and that'll add about, there's a work change order, I understand, in for that. And it's approximately a little over $19,000 for that change. And then also the Walton Ferry Road realignment that's been talked about now for quite a long time, as in 15 years. The state of Tennessee decided to push that bid opening or bid out process from this month to August of 2020. So add another year to the conversation of Walton Ferry Road, Shackle Island Road realignment. And people, this goes back to when I was in high school when this started. That was 1982, 83, the state of Tennessee. So if we want the state to pay for it with us, it just takes a long time. So we need to look at that too, I think, moving forward. I think on some capital projects, we need to bring them in-house. We need to take care of them ourselves. We can move those projects along a lot faster if we bring it in-house. It'd be a lot easier. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Campbell. Alderman Woodcock, Planning Commission.
No report.
Alderman Cunningham, Census Committee.
No report this time, but I'll have one in 2 weeks. Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that and appreciate your work there. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2019-41. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 7, Chapter 4 regarding fireworks. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2019-41, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. That passes 12 we do have all 13 of us, right? 12-1, that passes 12-1. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2019-42. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 2018-35, establishing a special committee to study the issue of trash and recycling service. I so move. Second. A motion and a second. No, not that one. I apologize, I did not make that clear. Let me explain what happened. When I said I was pulling item B, I did not make it clear that it was B under other agenda items. Okay? We're going to go forward with this item under B, under ordinances and resolutions. Okay. Okay. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you did make that clear. Understood. I'd like to amend 2019-42 if I could, under Section 2, which says the committee's existence shall be extended until May 1, 2020. I think that needs to be reinstated and extended since they're already, their technical time has already dropped out. So we need to reinstate and extend.
I'm not following you. I'm sorry.
The committee has already
gotcha.
Spent their time, so we have to reinstate and extend.
So we want to add after committees reinstated and
committee's existence shall be reinstated.
Okay.
And extended.
Okay. We have a motion. Second. And a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of, anybody need an explanation on that? All those in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Okay. Alderman Brown, anything else?
On the main motion?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting ordinance 2019-42 as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we have second reading of ordinance 2019-43. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-14 regarding the position of city administrator. Alderman Cunningham. We have a motion and a second. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chairman, for the last several weeks, I received a lot of emails and phone calls about this ordinance. So this tells me, at least in Ward 6, our voters are concerned about this non-elected position. So I've tried to figure out what has changed in the last few years. So I began to start by pulling up the 2016 Tennessean news article about this position when it came up under the former mayor. And it's amazing how comments from some of our board members has changed about this position. Now, these are comments in the paper. They're not my words. Let me share with you. One alderman remarks at that time, I would like to hear what my constituents have to say about this proposal. Right now, I'm looking at the pros and cons about this, and he went on to say, I will not vote for the change if the mayor just becomes a figurehead who only attends ceremonial functions. Another alderman, it's basically adding more expense and staff to run the city, and we are already spread real thin. Another member, The accountability factor is a big concern of mine, and besides the timing of the whole thing, let me say that again. The accountability factor is a big concern of mine, and besides the timing of the whole thing. The timing of the whole thing. Now that sounds familiar to me. Now that person also said, I think the new mayor and the board should hire the administrator. Again, the new mayor. So my question, why don't we hear these kind of comments today? Again, this occurred back a few years ago when a former mayor, not the board, but the former mayor asked for this non-elected person. And it was the mayor, not the board, who pulled it on second reading after several aldermen said they had negative feedback from their ward. I know I've had a lot of negative feedback from this position in Ward 6. So when I looked at the two ordinances, the one 2018, when it was sponsored by one person, a former alderman, and I look at the current ordinance, 2019, has 3 sponsors, but the bottom line of both ordinances have the same language except, and I'm a little concerned when I read number 10 in the ordinance under job description for this person. Then I go and look at 2 revised editions, one in March and one in May, for this same person under job security. I find a discrepancy in the way these 2 are presented. The 2019, it says, number 10, this is an ordinance now, recommend specific personnel positions as may be required for the needs and operations of the municipality and propose personnel policies and procedures for approval of the board. Now, the revised edition in May, same position, same job descriptions, and it says, number 10, the city administrator may recommend specific personnel positions and/or reorganization of city administration as may be required to meet the needs and operational requirements of the city with approval of the board. Let me say that again. May recommend specific personnel positions and/or reorganization of the city administration. So when you say this reorganization of city administration, that's not mentioned in the ordinance. It's not mentioned at all. And I'll read it again if you want me to. Number 10 in the ordinance, recommend specific personnel positions as may be required for the needs and operations of the municipality and propose personnel policies and procedures for approval of the board. There's a lot of difference in the way that's worded. So if the revised edition is correct, based on that description I just read you, this applicant could make personnel changes, make recommendations on reorganizations of the city administration. And the bottom line, our voters have no voice in how this administration will operate. Remember, 7 votes. In our last meeting, I was unable to understand the sponsor's amendment to this ordinance and her reason for changing her mind. As I look back at the May 2019 meeting, and this sponsor made a motion to amend this same ordinance back then, and I quote, this position will take effect, again, this position will take effect and be funded on July 1, 2020, and will be part of the 2021 fiscal budget. Okay, I agree with that. That's great. But the sponsor went on to say she was on the fence about the decision to hire a city administrator before the 2020 mayoral election. And in her amendment, she stated, and I quote again, not to take effect, there's that word again, not to take effect until July 1, 2020. And that was her amendment, and it passed. So my question, what's happened in the last 4 months that changed the sponsor's position? She feels the city now needs to move forward now with the hiring process. And in doing so, the sponsor is asking the board to repeal and delete her May amendment, which is in section 4 of the ordinance that I just quoted. She wants to move forward immediately with a search for a city administrator. Now, back in May, MTAS representative was asked how long did he think the hiring process of this kind would take. His reply, 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months. Okay. So if we stay with the sponsor's May the 28th amendment, which we passed, we still have ample time before a mayor would take office. So I don't understand the rush. So what has changed? The duties and responsibilities for our current mayor are the same as the previous mayor. It's no doubt. It's the same. Number 2, is our mayor not running the city like someone on the board feels he should? Number 3, maybe there's a communication breakdown between some board members and the mayor. One more. Maybe there's a personal feelings towards the mayor. Could be. I don't know. That's their problem, not mine. But something has caused this sponsor to amend her May the 28th amendment and now wants the hiring process to start immediately. I submit to this board, when I read articles in our paper and I get calls, I'm convinced we do have a problem, and hiring a city administrator is not the answer. The bottom line, within 3 or 4 months, we will see individuals with ambition to run for mayor in 2020. It's right around the corner. In fact, there's 2 made it known already. 1, 2. There could be some from this board with the same ambition. So I submit to the board, don't bite the hand that feeds you, because the voters will have the last word come 2020 election. Mark that down. So with such short time left in this current cycle, let's take the advice from our MTAS representative when he said, communication, working together, and being less territorial. Mr. Chairman, I want to remind the board the financial situation we are facing and the budget we just completed and how we borrowed from Peter to pay Paul to get through the budget. It was a tight budget, and we still have roads to pave, infrastructure problems. We need more police officers, and yes, a much-needed fire hall in Maska Farm subdivision. And here we are talking about adding more expense for a city administrator in the next year's budget. We've heard that a city administrator could solve problems since he would have a professional management background, and reporting to 13 elected officials rather than 1 would be more likely to remove politics from this position. Now I'm going to take a famous wording from my colleague in Ward 3. Are you kidding me? Let's see how it'll be more likely to remove politics from this position when the city administrator needs 7 votes. Mr. Chairman, I made reference earlier about the revised job title summary of March 2019, and where there was nothing mentioned about a salary for this position in the March revised edition, not a word. However, 2 months later, in May 2019, guess what? In big bold letters on the last page, salary range $130,000 to $150,000 had been added. I say this because in our last meeting, the sponsor was asked the salary question by my Ward 6 colleague, and her response, I don't know. It's in the ordinance. This sponsor is our finance chairman, and she does not know. Of all board members, she's the one who should know. And no, Mr. Chairman, it's not in the ordinance 2019-14.
Excuse me, Alderman Waters, hold on 1 second. Yes. Alderman Waters, go ahead. He's not attacking you. Alderman Waters, go ahead.
So it's very concerning to me when I see the salary range of $130,000 to $150,000, in the May revised job description, last page, bold letters, but no one could answer my colleague's question in our last meeting. I find that very disturbing. But in September the 12th, I read, this position has been estimated to pay around $150,000 a year. That was on September the 12th. So, Mr. Chairman, my question, when, why, and by whom place this in the May revised summary? And when I yield the floor, I would appreciate an answer. I'll close by asking my colleagues to remember the ad hoc committee closing recommendations for this position. And I'll read it just to be sure we're all on the same page. This is from the ad hoc committee that was assigned to do the research. Number one, the candidate should come from outside Hendersonville and bring related experience. Number two, the candidate should either already possess a master's degree in public administration, be enrolled in such a program, or be willing to commit to do so as part of his employment contract. And last but not least, either be a ICMA member or work towards securing that honor. So let's think about the future of our generation. Let's think about our community. Let's think about our wards. Let's do the right thing tonight. Let's vote no tonight on this ordinance. Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the floor and I'll wait for your response to my question.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Strauss.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if the lady, my friend from Ward 3, intends to answer any of the questions or respond to any of the charges leveled against her tonight. And the way I want to say no is she shouldn't have to, because her explanation and her motivation for proposing this amendment was presented very clearly and plainly in our previous meeting. And when she was asked what the number was, she gave the second best answer a person can give. The first best answer someone can say is the answer. It's a hard fact. You present the hard fact. The second best answer someone can present is I don't know, but we can find out. And what we found out is that number had been presented to us previously when we decided to hire a city administrator. The decision before us tonight is whether or not the city of Hendersonville hires a city administrator. That decision has been made by ordinance that was voted and approved twice by this board. The question that's being decided tonight in second reading is the timeline by which that administrator will be hired. And it has been presented to this board that in order to have someone in place in next year's budget, our personnel department should at least be able to have the ability to formulate the position, to come up with the actual cost for the position, to advertise, because it's something that could take 6 to 8 months to do that. We've already missed a key opportunity in the recruitment process because not long ago, the city of Nashville hosted a national convention of city managers just down the road. But our personnel department, because of the way we passed it originally, was prohibited from even placing an ad for the city of Hendersonville saying what a wonderful place it would be in that convention's program or having a booth at their fair. Just imagine what the opportunities would have been for next year's budget if even just $100 or $500 or 3 hours from our staff time could have been spent meeting with those people and making Hendersonville available to them. Yes, I have no doubt that this is a position that can pay for itself. And it's one of the reasons I'd like to get it into our office as soon as possible. One only has to look at the issues that General Committee looked at last night Only have to look at lawsuits and pending lawsuits to realize that very quickly it's a position that can pay for itself. But I'm just going to say that Mr. Waters, in one of the things he quoted, and he was quoting things from back in 2016, based upon one presentation from the mayor and the board's initial reaction, some of those members who are no longer here, versus 3 years later, and considerable research by a very good committee and a very good report and recommendation from them, and quite a bit of research and consideration from this board, including members who may not have been here in 2016, and members including myself who were here in 2016 and have 3 years of additional experience and knowledge about the operations of city government. But I will close with this. Mr. Waters made my point for me when he talks about the position and it being an unelected position and being able to recommend changes to the structure of the city. Ordinance F on the agenda, we're not going to be considering it tonight, but we'll be doing it the next, has to deal with reorganizing the codes department. The codes director was making that recommendation, the mayor sponsoring a resolution to make that change. Our personnel department and the head of HR comes to us and makes recommendations all the time about changing the structure of government. Our police chief, our fire chief have come to us and said, let's change the structure that we have in our leadership. One time we didn't have division chiefs. We didn't have assistant chiefs. They make those recommendations. We didn't have a commander in the police department. As we grew, we make those changes. So we're already doing this with non-elected people making recommendations. But here's the most important word, and it's in what Mr. Waters said. Based upon the approval of the board of mayor and aldermen. Recommendations will be made by professional staff. Recommendations for decades have been made by professional staff and have always been approved, whether it is zoning or taxes or budgets or personnel policies, have always been approved by the elected officials of this city, people who are elected by their neighbors to make decisions for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Strauss. Alderman Hayes.
I want to call the question.
We have a motion to call the question. It requires a 2/3 vote. In this situation, it requires 9 people to vote on that. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to call the question. We do have one other person in the queue. All those in favor of calling the question, we may not. Alderman Waters, did you hit your button?
No, thank you.
Okay. Without objection, we're going to call the question. So we don't need to have a vote on that. We're just going to go ahead and vote. We have second reading of ordinance 2019-43. This is an ordinance amending ordinance 2019-14 regarding the position of city administrator. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. When Kay calls your name, those opposed, please signify by saying no.
Bolt.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Edwards. Hayes.
Aye.
Petrelli. Robertson. Skidmore. Sprouse. Waters.
No.
Woodcock. Clary.
No. That passes 7-6. Thank you, Kay. Next, we have Resolution 2019-56. This is a resolution for the City of Hendersonville regarding recycling. Alderman Robertson.
For discussion purposes only, I move approval.
We have a motion. I'll second. Alderman Robertson, go ahead.
Thank you. Our city has taken progressive yet prudent steps to examining the feasibility of recycling for our city. I applaud this board for those steps. From appointing a solid waste citizens committee to conducting a trial in all 6 wards, this board can be proud of its actions. It shows leadership. Well, the results are in, and from the trial we can see that our citizens are receptive to recycling, with 70% participating. With this momentum, we must now consider what's the next step for our city's evolution in recycling. The city, as you know, did a RFP, and the cost for twice a month curbside recycling was approximately $1.7 to $1.9 million a year. I can't see that we have that money in the budget to do that, so what's the next best alternative? I, like all of you, have given this subject a great deal of study and have come around to seeing the value of recycling. My two daughters have helped make that point to me. One only has to review the life expectancy of our available landfills to know something must be done. I believe recycling is the responsible thing to do. So I began trying to find a solution to the problem. This is one of the things that I enjoy the most about being an alderman, is to try to come up with policy solutions to nagging problems. So I believe recycling is the responsible thing to do. So I began to draft a resolution. I drafted the resolution that's before you. They are my own words, my own conclusions, my own recommendations. They are mine alone. I've not discussed this resolution with any member of this board because it wouldn't be appropriate to. But I am ready tonight to discuss it. I believe the approach outlined in the resolution is financially sound, environmentally appropriate, and has a reasonable chance of being successful. It will not cost the city any money, but will provide a powerful incentive for citizens to participate through the use of a recycling dividend and thereby reduce our landfill expenses. It is correct that we've had an opt-in program for a number of years in Hendersonville, but it's not growing much. We must do something to jump-start it, to give it a jump start, to incentivize our citizens to participate more in recycling. So I agree that what I am proposing is a unique approach, and I'm sure you have questions. When I finished drafting my resolution, I asked Mr. Bradley to review it for legal correctness. And I understand that he may have a concern, so I asked Mr. Mayor if it be allowed, that he be allowed at this time to address his concern and advise the board on the appropriate way to move forward, after which I would appreciate the floor to make a motion. So if it's okay, I'd like to ask Mr. Bradley to comment. And
yes, go ahead, John. We're on Resolution 2019-56.
That was not added to the agenda.
We approved the agenda.
It was not added to the agenda, Mayor.
Go ahead, John.
What I told Mr. Robertson was that,
No.
Call this out of order.
We're not out of order. That was approved with each.
Please turn my microphone on.
Alderman Sprouse.
Our ordinance requires any item that has not been before committee at least 14 days prior to the meeting to be added to the agenda by a vote of 7 members, regardless of how many people are here. Jack Long came up with the 7-member requirement, regardless of how many people are here, recognizing that that would be majority if the full board was here. When we accepted the agenda just an hour and a half ago, motions were made to add item E to our agenda. It was discussed that item F would not be added to the agenda, and there was absolutely no mention of item D. So to recognize consistently votes to add items to the agenda pursuant to Ordinance 2002-12, which is the ordinance that requires 14 days between a committee appearance and a board vote. But then to have no action whatsoever approving the agenda for item D, and then saying that the votes of 7 to approve the amended agenda includes this one item that was never mentioned as an amendment, is entirely inappropriate and upsets the procedure of the board and the will of the board. I'd like to think that it was an oversight and that was not deceptive, but I would think that if we're going to have a 5-minute conversation about what's being added to the agenda, that someone who has something that's listed that needs to be added to the agenda by 7 votes would make that motion. Now, I think that if this needs to be discussed, then it would be appropriate to vote to amend the rules and add it to the agenda. Otherwise, I'm going to say this is highly out of order, and I hope that it's just going to be an innocent oversight. How we respond to this situation, I think, will go long to talk about the motives of how we got into this situation.
Alderman Sprouse, I appreciate your outrage. However, it's entirely misguided because since I became mayor, I've made it very clear that whatever is printed here is my proposed agenda. And once we have 7 votes, once we have a majority to approve this agenda, that serves as exactly the wording you're seeing, subject to approval of Boma pursuant to ordinance 2002-12.
Yes, sir. And
I'm
sir,
going to go on.
No,
I am going to go on. I am going to go on. You do not have the floor right now. And
You do not make the rules.
We will open up to other.
You do not make the rules. I was the sponsor of ordinance 2002-12. This is not outrage. This is frustration. That a man can sit in that chair and can take amendments according to this and even mention this, but then when it's his opportunity to look the other way towards a rule, he's going to do that? That's why we're getting into trouble so many times, because rules apply when you want them to apply, and they're disregarded when you want to disregard them. All I'm saying is we can take a motion right now, and you can say, let's amend the agenda. You don't tell me what ordinance 2002-12 is. I was here in 2002. I sponsored that. I voted for that, and I have operated under the board for 17 years under that rule. There would be no need to ever amend the agenda to add something pursuant to ordinance 2002-12 if a vote of 7 to approve the agenda was all that it required. Practice proves that. The practice tonight proves that. This is not outrage. This is frustration. This is disappointment. We have the opportunity to fix it right now. I move to suspend rules to add ordinance 2019-56 to the agenda.
I'll second it.
Subject to approval of Boma pursuant to ordinance 2002-12.
We have a motion, a second, to add this item to the agenda. Anybody wishing to speak on this? Go ahead, Alderman Woodcock. Oh, hold on, I'm going to say something real quick here. I understand you know the rules. Implementation seems to be a hard thing for you, considering that you just interrupted me, which is the very, very, very highest rule that we have in Robert's Rules of Order. So much so that when I speak to school groups, I ask them, in Robert's Rules of Order, what is the most important rule in there? And it's that 2 people do not speak at the same time. Congratulations on knowing the rules. I hope your application improves. Alderman Woodcock.
Mayor, no, that was a personal
Alderman
attack.
Woodcock.
I'm going to respond.
Alderman Woodcock.
You guys are embarrassing.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
This is so embarrassing. John, is this necessary? Are we good? Do we need to vote?
We need to add it to the agenda like we always have.
Okay.
Just vote on it.
Yeah, I agree.
It takes a
Thank you.
2/3 vote. 9 votes will add it to the agenda.
Does anybody else wish to speak and add it to the agenda? Alderman Edwards, go ahead.
Okay, is it 9 votes to add it to the agenda, or is it 7?
It is at this point because we've already adopted the agenda.
So it's 9? Okay, the only reason I may I may vote against adding it to the agenda, because I'm still up in the air on this. I'm not ready tonight to vote on this ordinance on whether we opt in, and that's the only reason I would vote against adding it tonight. I feel really rushed. I know we've had adequate opportunity, but I think we probably should take this up in 2 weeks, and that's the only reason I would vote against it.
Anybody else wish, I'm sorry, Alderman Edwards, thank you.
I'm done.
Anybody
Thank
else
you.
wish to speak on the motion to add this to the agenda? Alderman Waters. I'm sorry, Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, I'll support the motion. I apologize if I made a mistake in this. It was not my intent. I would hope that you would vote to discuss it, because I think what Mr. Bradley is going to explain to us is important in the context of this policy. So I'll say this, based upon our discussions, my discussion with Mr. Bradley, Alderman Edwards, I'm not going to move forward on this resolution tonight, but I am going to move on what Mr. Bradley is going to recommend. So I don't intend to move forward on this resolution tonight, but we do need to hear from our general counsel.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Edwards, hold on, Alderman Edwards, specific to what you just talked about, or should we go on?
Well, specific on this, I wonder if we should just amend the agenda to hear from what Mr. Bradley has to say. Could we do it just for that specific reason?
I don't think we can limit the.
I'll withdraw my motion.
No, it's in context with this.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Alderman Edwards.
That was my suggestion.
I don't feel like we can only have a resolution to hear from one person, to consider a resolution only hear from one person. I feel like if we have a resolution on the table, that everybody's allowed to speak on that. So let me go. Anybody else want to speak on adding this item to the agenda? I'm sorry. Okay, Alderman Skidmore.
I feel like, and I appreciate you recognizing me, but I feel like for the record, we need to tell what the Public Works Committee, we were under the assumption, and Alderman Robertson, please correct me if I'm wrong. In fact, it'll probably be in the minutes. This question was asked by me as the chairman. Was this added to the agenda? And I think that there were several people in the room when I asked that, and we were all under the assumption that it was on. We were told that it was on the agenda tonight. Alderman Robertson, correct me if you think that's wrong, what I said, because I will tell you this: if Alderman Robertson had said no, that it's not, but I want to add it to the agenda, I would have put it in my notes, and I would have made sure, as a chairman, that it would have been on the agenda to at least have a thumbs up or down vote on this. And I think that if Alderman Robertson would have known or would have felt differently, he would have made sure that his ordinance, I've never known an alderman not to have their ordinance put on the agenda. But I recognize that actually this is a weird situation, because both the mayor and Alderman Sprouse are correct because I know that the mayor has said that, but at the same time, Alderman Sprouse has sponsored an actual legislative act that we have done for over a year, at least, well over a year, that we do have the 2-week rule. I myself have brought things before the board from committee and have said, I want to make sure that we need to ask Alderman Sprouse how he feels about this, because I know I don't want to be made a fool of at the board when I just bring one up. So I would say I would be in support of adopting this to be placed on the board, because Alderman Robertson has put a lot of work onto this, and I recognize his passion with the recycling, and I think this board, and I know I hate to put everybody on the spot, but I think we owe our colleague from Ward 6 the opportunity to discuss this. So I would be in favor of adopting this and having him discuss it with our city attorney, John Bradley, as well as any alderman he wants to talk to with. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Petrelli, on adding this to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Alderman Cunningham, on adding this to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Oh, you withdrawn your, yes.
Alderman Sprouse has withdrawn his motion.
Yeah, and I would like to substitute it. At the threat of interrupting, but I've tried to break in between the people to say, because if you notice on page 16 of the agenda, or page 17 of the agenda having to deal with this ordinance, we don't even have signature of our city attorney. So perhaps if the point is to have a report from our city attorney, I would amend it to say, let's add as an agenda item a report on Resolution 2019-56 from our city attorney. If anyone then has the opportunity to have questions based upon that, they can be directed towards that. But if the whole purpose of this is to have a report from the city attorney on this, take no action on it, then the appropriate agenda item would be a report on Resolution 2019-56 from the city attorney and related questions.
We have a motion to, at this point, have a report from our city attorney.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Alderman Robertson, do you wish to speak on that?
That's okay. I can count noses, so that's fine with me. I may have a motion, though, after Mr. Bradley.
You'll have to ask it to be added to the agenda.
I will at that time. So I'll support the motion, just so we can move forward.
Alderman Robertson, thank you for doing that. Alderman Bolt.
I guess I was going to say that Alderman Roberson asked a direct question of our city attorney. We could have alleviated the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Exactly.
If he'd have just answered the question, and then we'd be right here. We'd be done with all that. So I'm going to give the floor to the city attorney, if that's okay.
We have to approve it to be added to the agenda first.
To get an opinion from our city attorney.
To get a report from our city attorney, yes.
Okay, that's been seconded.
And that's been seconded. Alderman Sprouse, on this motion.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was still plugged in. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, on this motion?
No.
Anybody on this motion? All those in favor, requires 9 votes to, at this point, have a report from our city attorney. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. John?
So you, John.
In response to the question that Mr. Roberson asked some time ago, my concerns about this had to do with the provision that he added in about this recycling dividend. He's got something in here that he's added to incentivize our citizens to participate in an opt-in program. This was not in our bid request, and I just made it very clear to Mr. Alderman Robertson that it would have to be rebid if we wanted to do this. But he felt it was important, even though I couldn't sign off as to the legality of this, he felt it was important to go ahead and put his ideas before the Public Works Committee, which he did tonight, and now they've been presented at least preliminarily to this board in the form of this resolution. And that was, my recommendation was that if the board wants to go to a program with some sort of a dividend for those that recycle, it would need to be rebid. So I know that we've got two companies here tonight. It would need to be rebid so that everybody would have knowledge that, you know, if I'm going to bid on this, I'm going to have something, I'm going to have money coming from the city, hopefully, to help pay back some of my customers some of the money they've paid to incentivize them to participate in the program. Is that correct, Alderman Robertson? That was the question he wanted me to answer, and hopefully I've answered it. And I've also discussed this with the MTAS, and they agree with me that it would need to be rebid.
Alderman Petrelli, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'd like to speak. Thank you.
We don't, okay, but just to give you
Sure.
an idea, we don't have a motion on the floor for anything, it's just a report, so go ahead. Yeah. Go
I'm just going to speak. Okay. All right. So I appreciate Alderman Robertson's resolution here to move forward with something with recycling. You know, as we've gone through this process of the committee that we put together that have met for, how long have y'all met now? For over a year? Yeah. Okay.
That's a good point.
You know, it goes without saying that recycling is imperative, you know, for our city.
Alderman Petrelli, I'm sorry.
Sure. Yes.
Would you like to make a motion for discussion on this item to be added to the agenda?
It's not on the agenda.
We do not have, the next thing on the agenda is item E.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion for the discussion.
There we go. We have a motion to discuss this in a second. Any discussion on the discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying no. That we had a no? We have a no from Alderman Sprouse.
Two noes.
Alderman Sprouse and Alderman Brown.
May I continue?
You may continue
Thank
now.
you, sir.
Thank you for that.
I'll listen.
Okay. So, recycling. I think we have all become well educated up here that our landfills are filling up. We went to once a week garbage, and for some folks, they are not even moving towards recycling, but moving towards picking up a second outside vendor to collect that garbage. So with all that being said, obviously with recycling, there's a stewardship responsibility and also a fiscal responsibility, because ideally, if we go to recycling and it's being properly disposed of, and by disposed of, I mean being recycled properly, it should reduce our tipping fees. Okay. But how do we pay for this? There's been a stunning lack of leadership on how are we going to pay for this. I've heard all kinds of comments from citizens, from the committee. I've seen posts on social media. So how would we pay for a program like this? But where we were a couple of months ago when we were discussing the garbage contract, I'm going to go back to what I said then, which was we put the cart before the horse, meaning recycling should have been thoroughly studied. We weren't even given the recommendations from the committee prior to our vote on garbage. That's absurd. I don't know how it happened that way, but it's absurd. But luckily, I have constituents that, gave me information, so I knew the direction that they were leaning. So here we are again. We've got the cart behind the horse, which makes zero sense. And while I appreciate Alderman Robertson's taking the initiative to try to provide some type of an opportunity for recycling, I think those of us up there that are engaged into our research, we've all had that conversation about the opt-in program. I know I have, because there's at least 5 people in the audience who I've had that conversation with. With that being said, and without spending an egregious amount of time discussing what the committee recommended, I'd like to suspend the rules and have Alana come up and say what the committee recommended regarding the opt-in program, even though she already stated that, I believe 4 times in the presentation. But I would just like to hear the committee's perspective one more time. So I ask the board to please suspend rules if you don't mind, and I just want to simply hear what the recommendation was from our committee, because that's what's going to weigh heavily on my vote.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. To hear from Alana Hibbler, excuse me. In a second. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Alana, you want to come on up? Let me turn. Thank you for sticking around.
Yes, sir. All right, so recommendation 2 was concerning the committee's recommendation for citywide recycling to be funded in the 2020 fiscal year budget, and that was, that's what the recommendation was. In further detail, it is collection, curbside, 2 times a month for citywide recycling.
And what is the recommendation on an opt-in program?
No, against it.
No recommendation for opt-in.
Thank you.
It was against.
Correct. No, correct. Did not recommend an opt-in program. I understand. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Appreciate that. Alderman Robertson.
Be redundant. I almost feel like no good deed will go unpunished, But what I would like to do, based on Mr. Morgan, or Mr. Bradley's, John Morgan, based on Mr. Bradley's legal concern, I will not move forward on the resolution. As I've already said, it's better to get it right than to be in a hurry. However, before the staff goes to the trouble of rebidding the opt-in option with recycling dividend, I would like to see if this approach is acceptable to a majority of the board. Otherwise, there's no need for the staff to expend the time and expense to rebid the contract, and I can throw this resolution in the garbage. So I have a motion, if it's appropriate, Mr. Mayor.
We would have to add it to the agenda.
Oh, I can't make a motion under the discussion.
You can
That
make
was
a motion
discussion
to-
only.
You could make a motion to add it to the agenda. Hold on. So, and you can make that motion at this point. You're absolutely fine to add this to the agenda to consider Resolution 2019-56 or anything for that matter.
Okay. All right. You tell me if I'm making a misstep here.
Okay.
So I'm going to move that we add to the agenda the following motion.
Okay.
that I move the staff rebid the opt-in option with the dividend with all deliberate speed and bring back to the Public Works Committee and this board the results for further action by the board. So I'm going to move that we consider this motion, and if it's voted down, then this resolution is defunct. So with that, I so move that we add the motion.
Okay.
Is that right, Mr. Bradley?
Yes, sir. You're
Appropriate
moving to
motion.
add that motion to the agenda.
We have a motion to add this to the agenda,
I'll second.
and we have a second, and it's going to require 9 votes. Does anybody wish to speak on this motion to add this to the agenda?
Yeah, one last thing.
Go ahead, Alderman Robertson.
This is only to rebid it. This will give everybody an equal chance to get into it. And what we're looking for on this, we're looking for the best price for our citizens. So this is just, so with that said, I so move.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you. I'm just trying to clarify your motion. This is to have a discussion on the potential of rebidding it, or this is a motion to rebid it?
A motion to rebid it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Robertson, would it be correct to say that it's part of this? Go ahead. It's probably better that you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I move that the staff rebid the opt-in option with the recycling dividend with all deliberate speed and bring back to the Public Works Committee and this board the results of the RFP for further action by this board, and I so move.
Okay. And we have a second on that already.
First, you got to add it to the agenda.
Oh, thank you. So we have a motion to add this to the agenda. This is going to require 9 votes. Anybody else wish to discuss adding it to the agenda? All those in favor of adding this to the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no.
No.
We're going to have to take a vote on that. It's going to require 9.
Woodcock,
Yes.
Waters,
Yes.
Sprouse, Skidmore, Robertson,
Yes.
Petrelli, Hayes,
Yes.
Edwards, Cunningham, Campbell,
No.
Brown,
Nope.
Vogt.
Yes.
Clary, yes. That fails 7-6. Next, we have reading of Resolution 2019-49. This is an ordinance appropriating funds to extend the pilot recycling program for a period of 6 months. Alderman Woodcock. We have a motion. We have a motion on item ordinance 2019-49. And entertain a second. Okay. This is item E, ordinance 2019-49, ordinance appropriating funds to extend the pilot recycling program for a period of 6 months. We have not so far. We have a motion and a second. Alderman Woodcock.
Thank you. I'm just trying to link up the funding with the extended date of the program, the committee's timeline.
Alderman Sprouse.
Simple as that.
Thank you. Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to when we were discussing this during budget, because the money was going to run out on August 1st with the, July 1st with the start of the new fiscal year. We have screwed up trash service royally in this city. I'm just not going to beat around the bush anymore. Great regret that I have is I couldn't get more of y'all to vote with me when we changed the trash service. We were good the first time around, and to prove the point we were talking earlier about people can change their mind, people change their mind on second reading. But we screwed up. And I say we, I was part of making that decision. I may not have voted the same way, but I'm going to sit here on the board with you and have to deal with the repercussions just like everything else, the decision that's made, good or bad. What we could have done, just to kind of give you a target of what I think the ideal we should be reaching towards ultimately, because if you want to have short-term decisions, they should match a long-term goal, is we could have done a year extension with our existing provider, twice a week, curbside service, same provider, same service, spend this year planning for the next year's plan where we have once a week curbside recycling, once a week trash pickup. The money works out. It's a lot easier in cleaning it up. We do that, but we didn't get that. But I feel like every meeting since then, whether it's a committee meeting or a board meeting or every week, there seems to be at least one meeting where we're trying to reach back and try to grab and fix this solution. And it's a series of short-term, I guess, good thing that most cans are recycling or recyclable because we're kicking them. We didn't know what we were going to do with yard waste. We've come up with a solution with yard waste that still isn't a long-term solution. Now we're struggling with recycling. And even this program right here, if we do it for 6 months, it's not going to get us to the end of the budget year. I said when we were discussing the trash services and recycling back in May, back in June, that we did the pilot program to gather data to use towards the decision of implementing a universal recycling program for the city of Hendersonville. We have universal trash pickup. I wanted to see what we could do to take steps towards universal recycling service. And I almost voted against this provisional funding that gets us through November. Almost voted against it, and I said, because I don't think it's fair for all of the community to pay for a very, very small portion of the community to get a service. I understand if it's a private program that the value is the data that is gathered, but we were told in May and June that no additional data is needed, is required. I'm going to vote no on this in large part because I want a longer-term solution than something that's just going to be this next 6 months for one block of my ward. I don't know if y'all figured out what portions of your wards are part of the recycling program, but this is just one more Band-Aid solution that everyone I represent is paying for the benefit of one block. I say we step back, we make harder decisions, we set long-term goals, and every short-term decision that we make along that way matches that long-term goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Strauss. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand that the people on the pilot program haven't even been notified that this program was going to end on October the 31st. However, we've known about it since July 1st. So why haven't they been notified? Why hasn't anybody taken that up and notified these people? And now now we have to spend more money because we haven't notified them? $75,000? That doesn't make any sense to me. One block in your ward? Yeah, one block in our Ward 3. So who's reaping all the benefits? Certainly not Ward 2 and not 3. For 2 years? We have to study something for 2 years? And it's still not enough time? No. I committed to the recycling committee that I was going to abide by your recommendations. Well, I will abide by your recommendations by my vote tonight against this. This does not make any sense to me. You better start knocking on some doors and telling these people that their recycling is going to be ending the pilot program. And we better start putting some work and effort into this to get a citywide recycling program started. We have 8 months to work on it, figure out how we're going to fund it. We need to either whatever and go or get off the pot. Blank or get off the pot. Jersey talk. I mean, I can't see wasting $75,000 to do this because we neglected to tell the residents that their program was going to end. I will not support this ordinance. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Edwards.
Yes, sir, thank you. I believe that the recycling committee, did y'all recommend to go until December 31st to extend it? Does anybody have any idea how much that's going to cost? Marshall, do you know?
Hold on. Hold on, Marshall, you want to come up and help us out, please?
22,000.
Okay.
What's the cost going in December?
We pay approximately $11,000 a month, $11,000 towards the pilot program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Alderman Edwards.
Well, I was going to suggest that we move to amend this to have some kind of compromise to just extend it and to honor what the recycling committee has said to December 31st. But 22,000, man, I don't know. That's a lot of money for just one block in every single ward.
Not just our ward, it's one block, the other ward have multiple.
Alderman Edwards, anything else?
Well, it's just a very small percentage of our population. I just think that's a waste of money. I just think, I've tried to end this pilot project a long time ago. I think it served its purpose. What was the original intent? To get the numbers. We've got the numbers. So I'll echo the sentiments of the previous speakers on this. I think it served its purpose. I think we should go ahead and end it now. I mean, we can give them notice, the people that have, we can try to give them notice. I don't know why we're so afraid. This was like a free gift we gave to just a small percentage of our citizens. We gave them this gift of free recycling. I have to pay for my recycling, and I don't know why the government at any level is, once they give something, I guess we'll call it a handout, they're so afraid to take it away. I don't see why we're afraid to take this away. They've gotten a free service for I don't know how long, so.
2 years.
2 years, so, and it served its purpose. I'm fine with, and that's why I'll vote against this. I'm not even going to want to move to amend to extend this to December 31st. So, thank you.
Alderman Edwards, thank you. Alderman Bolt.
I'm gonna do that. No. I think Alderman Edwards has been on this board too long, because I believe that's the longest I've ever heard him speak. So, but based on the recommendation of the recycling committee, I would like to offer that amendment, a friendly amendment, if the sponsor would allow that, to take it through the end of the year.
So
I'd like to offer that amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend, let me find the wording here.
Instead of 6 months, just say 2 months.
So amend, say, 2 months at a cost of, instead of 75,000, 22,000? Okay. So we have a motion. We need a second if we're going to discuss that. Alderman Bolt, back to you.
Did we get a second?
We did not get a second.
Okay.
We have a second from Alderman Skidmore. Alderman Bolt, do you want to discuss this more?
Nope.
Okay, appreciate that. We need to talk on the motion, which quite honestly is the same thing as the main motion at this point. Anybody wish to speak on the proposed amendment before we vote on it? Alderman Woodcock.
Amendment.
Alderman Woodcock.
Pretty much all of the speakers who spoke against this, I agree with everything you said. I said the same thing last meeting. I sponsored this for one reason. I don't want anyone putting anything in my mouth. I'm not afraid to tell Millstone they're losing it. I'm not doing this because they didn't receive notice. I'm doing this for one reason, and it's because I personally believe that once we get rid of the pilot program, it's going to be a lot easier for this board to not implement a program. That's the only reason I'm doing this. So you can put that on social media, the paper, whatever, and I'll stand behind that comment. But we can amendment that's fine. You can cut it off whenever you want to cut it off. All I'm saying is I personally believe that the second we end it, before we make a final decision, will make it that much easier for this board to not implement a program. So that's just my comment, and I'll stick with it.
Alderman Woodcock, thank you. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know that I don't know that I probably agree with Alderman Woodcock. I'd like to ask the Recycling Committee Chairman a question, if I could. Suspend the rules for Ms. Floyd.
Without objection, we're to suspend the rules for Debbie Floyd. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. How did you all come up with December? What was your discussion?
Just to give them
notified?
Just to get them notified.
Okay.
Actually, we all said, cut them off now, but then we got feeling a little guilty and said, well, let's give them a little bit of.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think you all need to feel guilty about anything. You've put a lot of work in and haven't got some recognition that you need, and I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Continuing on. So I appreciate you answering that question, too. I was just curious. I figured that's what it was, but I wanted to hear.
Yes.
I appreciate the offering of both Mr. Bolt's amendment and Mr. Woodcock's ordinance, but I won't vote for it simply for the fact that I voted in July to go to the end of October, and we knew the end of October was coming in September, in August, and in July. And this is to the point, it's just a political football. It goes from here, and it goes over there, and it goes back there, and it goes over there. And I said this in our workshop a month or so ago. I believe everybody on this board and probably in this room believes recycling is a good thing, whether you recycle or not. We've spent $350,000+ hours and everything else, and we're still not under a resolution. We know 70% of the people are going to do it. We have people that are willing to do it. I hope we don't get to the 2020 budget and this not get in the budget in some way, shape, or form. But there's still got to be some more work done, I think, through the committee. But I know the folks in Windstar Bay and Ballantrae and stuff, some of them are going to be sad, but they've had a good service for a long time. I know they can probably go ahead and pick up that service and opt in on their own if they want to. But I just can't see spending any more money. We've spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and we're talking the same discussion we talked 2 years ago. So I won't support it. Thanks.
Alderman Brown, thank you. A couple things I want to mention is that probably about a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, I asked Alana and Marshall what kind of contact information we have for these folks, and we probably have emails for about half of them. I feel very confident that in the next 9 days we can contact all of them by email, by phone call, or by mail, or by knocking on the door. However, we have no deadline to notify them that the program has ended. There's nothing bad that happens if they still have their containers and if they're still collecting recyclables. There's nothing bad that happens at that point. I do feel confident that we can notify them and notify everybody in the next week that this has changed and there's something different going on. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you just answered my question, because my question was going to be is, what are the plans for notification to the pilot program recipients? And it seems like that has contributed to the origination of this ordinance, and I understand Alderman Woodcock's concern that, if the pilot program is discontinued, it could adversely affect the validity of it being put into the next budget year. But, just as a whole, communication seems to be a problem. So if you have all the emails, don't have all the emails, I mean, are you going to door knock? I mean, what is the actual plan? What was the plan a month ago? Or what was the plan in July for this notification to participants? I'm just curious at this point.
Go ahead, Marshall.
We plan to put stickers on their bins to let them know when it would stop, and I thought the program would be extended, and I didn't want stickers to go out knowing it would end, and so we held off on putting the stickers out on the bins. But now that, once a deadline is made, we can certainly, we
Well,
can.
I mean, we had a deadline going into
Well,
today's meeting, which was October, so you didn't want to put
Well,
the
I
stickers
thought-
on there to let them know that in 10 days or 9 days, it's going to be ending?
I thought the program would be extended through this process that we're talking about now, but now that I see it's not, we can certainly, like the mayor said, notify through email, phone calls, Facebook. We can get the word out that the program will end this month.
I don't know, we've got to really step it up with our communication coming out of Public Works, whether it's limb pickup, grass clippings. I commend the work that you guys do every day, but, waiting till the 9th hour with Hail Marys is just not a way to run a program or a department. Thank you.
Alderman Kimball.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hibbler wanted to address the board. She was making a motion a moment ago. Can she address the board again?
Yeah, she's fine.
Thank you. I just want to point that out.
She's clear.
You couldn't see her behind the desk. She was like, so I just want to point that out to you.
Okay, so, as Marshall said, we were looking to, whether we need to wrap it up or how we go proceed. And as we said, there might be other motions to do certain things. And I was saying, okay, I understand that. A month prior is what you should give people for notification. So that's what our plan was. And I think that the initial fall break Boma meeting, that threw everything off. It's understandable. I don't have fall break anymore, so I wasn't aware, but it's okay. But basically, residents, you were saying communication. It could have been put out in an article in the newspaper or said at a Boma meeting or somewhere. This may be wrapping up. Please make accommodations, but nothing was made anywhere. And that's how it was handled. But putting something in, something needs to be done. But 9 days, can we do it in 9 days? That's something we have to discuss, if we can do everything in 9 days, and that's whether choice, but there was no decisions made, so we couldn't put anything into motion. And I understand, like, Marshall said, if he was to put a sticker on something and it said this and then it changed, that's a communication issue as well. So having appropriate action a month or 2 weeks in advance would be the best policy, best way. And the mayor did ask me about the communication. We don't have it for every single person or household participating, but we talked about different ways to communicate with people, so that's an option. Yes. Oh.
Thank you, Alana. Alderman Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. Alana, y'all have done a great job, and I appreciate so much what the committee has done up until now. In an effort not to lose the momentum of $350,000 that we spent, I just wonder if there's something that the committee can do in helping us communicate with our city, with all the citizens, about what we have done in terms of the pilot, but also what they can do from now on. There's at least several companies out there that would love to continue to serve them with an opt-in. And then thirdly, even give them a little teaser of what we hope to do starting in July. I don't want us to lose the momentum. We've spent a good bit of money. We've got a lot of information. Thank you.
Yes, sir, and it was part of the committee's responsibility, was to gather education, information, awareness for all aspects of our community, not just our residents. So that was part of theirs for the April report as well.
Thank you, Alana. Alderman Hayes, anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, I would be real careful, though, about putting out teasers, until the board acts. I understand what you're talking about, Alderman Hayes, about that we want to move forward on some kind of recycling service, but I'd be real careful of the staff to talk about we're going to do something before the board votes for it. I do want to take my hat off to Alderman Woodcock. He's been a champion. He's been a real champion on recycling. He's worked hard on this. He's been a true believer from the beginning, and I've just recently repented and come to the salvation. But I'm not going to be able to vote for this ordinance Alderman Woodcock. I would have voted for it if we had a plan to have a program that we could provide our citizens. That's why I worked so hard to come up with what I thought would be a compromise that would not cost the city any money, but at least be a next step. If we had passed that to rebid, I would have voted with you to extend, because I don't want to lose the momentum. The momentum is an important thing, and I'm afraid that, if we don't go into another program, that a lot of those customers will fall by the wayside, and recycling will be even more remote in this city. So I wanted to let you know the reason I can't vote for that, but I do appreciate your efforts to champion this cause, and I'm sure we'll hear from you again. I'm sure you'll rise again.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. I can understand Mr. Woodcock's concern about decisions. I don't think that the decision we make tonight, though, will in any way affect my decision should the next time this thing come up. I feel like I have the information that I need based upon usage, and now I need to have information about cost for a universal program and implementation. When we're talking about the sampling program, and let's just say hypothetically someone went into an ice cream place and took a sample of ice cream and kept tasting all the different flavors, eventually the person's behind the counter, hypothetically, is going to tell you, you need to buy some ice cream or leave the store. And that's kind of where we are with recycling. We need to do that. I am not concerned about need to notify, in large part because we completely revamped our trash program, picked a new vendor, gave them opportunity, a vendor who had no equipment, no employees, and no facilities in the market, and gave them a little over 30 business days to become the universal service provider for the city of Hendersonville. Not just a few blocks in each ward or a neighborhood. And how do we get to where we get a block in one ward and subdivisions in other wards? I'm not sure how that one worked out. But,
I can answer that for you.
We did that. I see maybe 3 representatives of waste companies out in the audience. I'm not going to ask for them to speak. But if I say something you disagree with, shake your head. That if someone wanted to, we're not asking people to move. We're not asking people to find new cars or new health insurance or anything like that. We're asking them to provide a new curbside recycling program. We have 3 waste providers in the city. We have 3 representatives right now. I would think if someone called you this week, you could probably have them on their route next week. Everyone, I see 3 heads shaking. I don't see anyone, I see 3 heads nodding. I see no heads shaking. And so I don't feel bad that if we have the opportunity to tell someone that they've been given, they've been among the very lucky few, and Ward 2, the extremely lucky few, to have recycling program curbside free, paid for all the citizens, and that if they wanted to continue, then they should lobby their alderman, and they should lobby anyone who wants to be alderman to continue that program in June. So that's, I feel like we're in pretty good shape. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Sprouse. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I had 2 things, and Alderman Sprouse stole my thunder, which is fine, but I just want to say I think it might be a good opportunity to do some fast marketing for you guys that are sitting in the audience that do that. You probably pick up some clients. And secondly, the PowerPoint that you had up a while ago, could you please send that to everybody on this board?
Yes.
Thank you.
Alderman Brown, thank you. Alderman Bolt.
Yeah, just real quickly on Alderman Waters' point about professional recommendations. I look forward to that because I have no doubt had we had a little better professional recommendations, we wouldn't be in the situation we were in now relative to recycling as well as garbage. So that'll be fine. As far as communication is concerned, I think that is a ongoing issue, and one of the issues is we're asking people to do things that they don't normally do. So Public Works may not be top list for what they do is communication, and some of the other departments. And speaking with the City of Franklin back in January, the mayor said, Ken Moore said that the best decision that their city administrator made in 2008 was his first decision, which was to hire a communications officer. And instead of people getting their information from a private email account from the mayor or some other place or just kind of haphazard, they started directing people to certain places relative to Facebook, relative to letters from the city. And so that way, the city speaks with one voice and it communicates with the whole city and not just parts of the city. Thank you.
Alderman Bolt, thank you. We have nobody else in the queue. We still have an amendment on the floor, and that amendment is to change the amount to $22,000 and the term through December 31st, 2019. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye. When Kay calls your name, those opposed, please signify by saying no.
Bolt. Brown.
No.
Campbell.
No.
Cunningham.
No.
Edwards.
No.
Hayes.
No.
Petrelli.
No.
Robertson.
No.
Skidmore.
No.
Sprouse.
No.
Waters.
No.
Woodcock. Clary.
No. Okay, next that fails 12-1. Next, we have a vote on the May motion, and that is without the amendment, which is $75,000 in cost, with continuing the pilot recycling program through May 1st, 2019. We have nobody in the queue wishing to speak. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. When Kay calls your name, those opposed, please say no.
Woodcock. Waters.
No.
Sprouse.
No.
Skidmore.
No.
Robertson. Petrelli. Hayes.
No.
Edwards.
No.
Cunningham.
No.
Campbell.
No.
Brown.
No.
Bolt.
No.
Clary.
No. Thank you. That fails 12-1. Next, we do not have item F there. That is an item that Alderman Sprouse has to have delayed for till our next meeting, and I've agreed with that. Now we have other agenda items. The first one is a vote on the reappointment of Darren Frank to serve on the Board of Parks and Recreation. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. The next item, we had a letter which I passed on to all of y'all to asking us to reconsider this, so I put it on the agenda. Yesterday we got a phone call. Today we confirmed that they wish to have that not on the agenda at this time. I will keep you up to date with what their wishes are and the communication that I get from them. So I'm going to withdraw that item B under other agenda items. And now we have an executive session. And by the way, those of you who are here, we have nothing else on our agenda. We will have an executive session. That does not mean that our meeting is done. We may come back, we may have something, and we may add something to the agenda as you've seen here. I can't tell you how long that's going to take, but there can only be 14 of us in the executive session. That's the 13 members of the board and our city attorney. So why don't we go over here?
It is what it is.
Well, don't stand there long.
Take two.
Thank you. We just returned from executive session. Alderman Edwards?
Yes, I'd move to adopt the recommendations.
Hold on, I need you to add agenda.
Okay, I would move to add to the agenda the item discussed in the executive session.
We have a motion and a second to add that to the agenda. Anybody wishing to discuss adding it to the agenda? All those in favor of adding this to the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Alderman Edwards? Yeah, you're exactly right. Thank you.
Okay, I'd move to adopt the recommendations of the city attorney as expressed in the executive session.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Anybody wishing to discuss? I've got to say one thing here real quickly. We have information that shows that the city overpaid Republic Services by $291,000. We have information that shows that the misses and the penalties for those misses added up to $124,000. I have a hard time accepting a settlement that is significantly less than that. Alderman Sprouse.
It is extremely unfortunate that part of the recommendation of our council is when we're negotiating what settlements could be, is that we don't come out and start talking numbers. And one of the very first things that's said is its numbers are being presented. I disagree with the comment, the need for the comment, and I really wish that I could feel comfortable enough to say why I think the numbers are wrong without weakening the position of the city. But I disagree with the previous statement, and I disagree with the need to make the previous statement, and I hope that it does not harm the position of the city in the negotiations that we're about, hopefully, to authorize our city attorney to undertake.
Alderman Strauss, thank you. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm stunned after what we were just advised in an executive session to come out and hear this. If I'm not even sure how we got to the forensic audit. Was that approved in Public Works, or was that a sidebar item?
It's improved in Public Works.
Was it secret?
No.
Public Works?
It was approved in Public Works.
But again, I'm going to go back to what I just said over here. This decision to pay this bill is a level of executive function. And it goes back to, if we do not have the tools in place to make an executive decision on handling a situation like this, it concerns me that maybe we need to put an interim CA in tomorrow. I've heard so many questions about house numbers, that we didn't provide the correct house numbers. After our second garbage meeting, I was told different this, different that. This is very irresponsible what just came out, and I'm stunned. The lack of leadership is absolutely stunning to me at this point. And I'm sorry if my assertiveness is going to be too much for the fragile to handle. But this is a prime example of one of the reasons why I voted to move up the selection of a CA this evening, because of situations like this. Thank you.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Bolt.
Piling on for sure, but yeah, I'm really shocked and disappointed. It's a purely 100% political decision to have an executive session, so you'd come out here and bushwhack us on the other side. And I would say that some of my colleagues who continue to carry the water for this guy, think twice about it, because we all agreed on one thing and we end up with something completely different out here. And it makes our job so much harder to do when we can't get consensus. And every decision is made for political reasons, and I want to be able to rely on information in the future that is not political in nature. I just want to be able to vote on things that come before me and information that I can rely on as being accurate. Thank you.
Alderman Bolt, thank you. Alderman Cunningham.
I remain speechless. And that's difficult for me to say. Why would you put the city at jeopardy like this? Why would you do that? When you were given specific instructions by an attorney that's been practicing for like 40 years not to do that. After I was attacked tonight by one of your cohorts, this is the exact reason why I brought up the CA, so that we can get that going immediately for the health and welfare of our city.
No. Alderman Cunningham, are you finished? Or should we have a point of
I'm
order called?
just so disappointed.
You can when she's finished.
I'm finished with my
Make a point of order.
disappointment.
Wait, I have somebody else in the queue here.
Huh?
Alderman Hayes.
Mayor, I'm just really disappointed because what we decided in executive session, and then we came out here and you kind of turned it on every single person up here.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Okay. We didn't decide anything in executive session. It was very clear, our city attorney made that very clear, we are not making a decision out there. And we did not make a decision. We've had a couple people already say that I am bringing up something we agreed on. We did not agree. We did not have deliberation. We did not have discussion.
It's fine.
And if anybody wants to disagree with me, I think we need to turn to our city attorney, and that puts us in jeopardy right there for violating what's allowed in executive session. We did not make an agreement in executive session. Also, what I have said would actually strengthen our position, not weaken it by any means, not weaken it by any means. I am just not willing to sweep under the rug $415,000. I am willing to negotiate, and that was a conversation that we had, and we just talked about that. I am willing to come down from that. But $415,000, I am not willing to sweep all that, probably a significant portion of that, we will say. I am not willing to do that. I will not talk about the numbers we talked in there because I think that would be inappropriate, but I am not willing to sweep that under the rug. If you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. But I am not willing to give up that money, and I don't think that moving forward, just for the sake of moving forward, is worth giving up that money that so many people were expecting because they didn't get the service they expected for 6 months. We had a provision in that contract that there was a penalty in there, and we all told people for several months, maybe not 6 months, but maybe 3 months or maybe 2 months. And we told them that there was a penalty in there when they were missed. We are sweeping that under the rug by moving forward with this. That's what I disagree with. If you disagree, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. That's okay. You may want to move forward faster than I do, but there's an awful lot of money here that needs to be returned to the taxpayers. Alderman Hayes, do you want to go back?
I'm not through.
Okay.
I'm just real disappointed. I feel like I can't trust you. I feel like that somehow you've got a vendetta. Something is under the. I don't understand what's going on.
Can we keep it to the item here and not personal things? Okay, we really need to keep it to the item on the agenda.
I'm just trying to understand why you don't want to pay our bills. And this would potentially put us in a position where we would owe penalties as well as lose a lawsuit.
There are no penalties in the provision for us not paying them. That was sort of discussed a minute ago.
I believe that the trash companies are really good with their contracts, and I'm pretty certain that there would be penalties for not paying our bill. So I'm very disappointed, and I'm speechless now.
Alderman Sprouse.
Thank you. A few minutes ago, I called a point of order. Earlier in this meeting, I was told I interrupt. That's because there are times when I very appropriately, according to rules of Robert's rules, do call a point of order or ask to be in the queue. For some reason, I'm told, no, I can't speak, even to the point before where my microphone has been turned off, and only it was the vote of the board that allowed me to speak. Mayor, I am not going to get into the merits of the issue. I think it was pretty clear that comments and questions that were asked appropriately in executive session indicated you disagreed with this. However, the way to appropriately deal with that disagreement is to come up with an alternative, but not to present it in a way that undermines the position of the city. There are ways that I could disagree with comments that you just previously said, but I'm afraid that if I said them publicly, they could weaken the position of this city that I represent. And I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that our attorney, when he goes into negotiation, goes in with the strongest position he can possibly do. Earlier tonight, I said I didn't agree with the trash decision, but it was made, and I'm going to sit with the rest of you and work through it once the decision was made. I think the similar thing needs to happen when we are dealing with vendors, when we're dealing with former employees, when we're dealing with current employees. We're dealing with any situation of negotiation, when we're dealing with any situation of litigation. That we disagree. We disagree honestly. We express those disagreements fairly, accurately, using the truth in this room when we can do that, not stay silent in a debate and then go outside this room and criticize the decision of this board when that opinion was never expressed, when the decision was being made. And when we're in executive session, and we're considering the advice and counsel of someone who has proven to be a very able attorney, time and time again, representing the interests of the city. Whether we agree with the course of action or not, there have been times that I wish that we didn't have to settle with a former employee, or that we didn't have to agree with an assessment of a federal agency who wanted us to do something. But the best course of action for the city was not my pride. It was not me wanting to carry a grudge or a vendetta or even being afraid to say that I made a mistake. The decision was made because it was best in the long term for the city of Hendersonville corporately, the citizens we represent, and the people who pay the bill. I called a question on the motion.
We have a motion and a second to call the question. Any discussion on it? I'm sorry, there's no discussion on that. All those in favor of calling the question, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. We have one. That passes with one no vote. Two no votes. Three. Any other no votes? In that case, it has enough votes that we call the question. All those in favor of Alderman Edwards, you want to restate your motion, please?
It was a motion to adopt the recommendations of the attorney as expressed in the executive session.
Appreciate that. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No.
I am abstaining because this is a
We're going
level
to
of
have to call
executive
the.
function that you are not executing.
We're going to have to call the roll. I'm not real sure. So we have a motion from Alderman Edwards. If you agree with the motion, please signify by saying aye. If you don't, please signify by saying no. And Kay will call the roll.
Bolt. Brown.
Abstain.
Campbell.
Abstain.
Cunningham. Abstain. Edwards.
No, I'm sorry.
I'd reconsider my vote and say yes.
Hold on one second. Kay, can you take care of Alderman Campbell's? Okay. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Alderman, so he's going to vote yes. Alderman Campbell, are you saying yes?
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Edwards?
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Petrelli.
Abstain.
Robertson.
Yes.
Skidmore.
Yes.
Sprouse.
Yes.
Waters.
He's gone.
Woodcock. Clary.
No. Does that have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Does that have 7? That passes 7-1 to 4. Am I correct about that, John?
Yes.
Okay. I entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn in a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. We're adjourned.